what is the vibration there? What are you putting out? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. When we're talking about sleep, we're going to talk about some very practical things, but we're also going to look at the bigger picture. Because my husband and I were chiropractors. We're very different chiropractors for those of you that have been our patients. But we still want to look at the body. We want to look at the body because the body, we can use the body, and the body tells our brains, which sometimes get in the way of us achieving what we want, what's really going on. Our body tells us these things. So what we need to do is listen to our bodies more. We need to listen to what's going on. And we're going to talk about some of the ways that you can do that this evening, and sleep is a big one. Because does anyone succeed in life without sleeping? There are some people that say they do, but they're usually pretty darn grumpy and they're not fun to be around, right? Well, on a very physical level, if we don't sleep, we don't heal. We don't get the rest we need. We don't produce. Come on in. We don't produce certain chemicals that our body needs to be healthy. And if we're healthy, gee, it's a heck of a lot easier to be happy. And if we're happy, it's a heck of a lot easier for us to get the things we want in life. Correct? Now we can go big and talk about vibration and the differences between a grumpy, tired vibration and a happy, rested vibration a lot. We can talk about that. But I think everybody here knows that from personal experience, right? Either from feeling it or from being around somebody who's tired and grumpy. Because they can be two different people, right? Once they're rested and once they're grumpy. So for those of you that haven't been to some of our classes, we're going to do a bit of review. So if it's not new to you, it's new to somebody. And it's worth review. Because we're going to talk about how the subconscious brain affects the body and how sleep ties into this. Okay? And again, we're going to do some real practical things about why you might not... Who here has trouble sleeping, by the way? Anybody? Who has trouble falling asleep? Who has trouble staying asleep? Okay, so like hands were kind of like yeah, maybe. You know what? There's some very physical reasons for that. And there's some very energetic reasons for that as well. So we're going to talk about some things that you can do. All right? But first, since I'm a big geek, we're going to talk about the brain first. And we're going to talk about the body, because that's my favorite thing to talk about. So, this is your brain. Come on over. And this is the spinal cord, which, by the way, this is part of our One Thing Challenge. And a lot of you have been to a lot of our One Thing Challenge workshops. Who here does not know what the One Thing Challenge is? Anybody? Come on in. The One Thing Challenge is, we're going to talk about a lot of the things we did in this One Thing Challenge, but every month we do one thing. Develop one new healthy habit to do exactly what we're talking about. Make you healthier, make you happier, make your body more receptive to the things that are going on around you. Make you more aware of your body. And we do it one thing at a time, because if I told you all these 12 different things, we're doing something once a month, once every month. If I told you 12 different things to do, would you be able to do them all at once? But if you do something for a month, you can develop a habit, right? Because how long does it take to develop a habit? Somebody said?
18 days.
18 days? Okay, do I have another number?
It's different.
28.
21 days. Do I have another number?
28.
28 days. Okay, so
Somewhere in there.
somewhere in there, there's a certain amount of days that it takes people to develop a habit. And we're not in agreement, which really that just shows us, pick a field and there's no agreement really on anything, right? You can come with lots of different ideas. But what I do know is that if you focus on certain simple things to make yourself healthier, to make yourself more in your body, and we're going to talk about what that means, then you will be healthier. and you will be happier. And what do we say? When you're happier, things happen for you a little bit easier, don't they? You're not fighting it so hard. So, this is your brain. This is your spinal cord. When we talk about the brain and the spinal cord, we divide the brain into two areas. We divide it into the conscious brain and the subconscious brain. Now, the conscious brain is where we think, where we decide to do something, where we say, I want to have barbecued brisket for lunch, or I want to have a salad for lunch. We decide with our conscious brain. Our subconscious brain is what runs the body. This is what's happening below the consciousness. I had a woman in my office today who was 7 months pregnant. Baby was in the belly, it was kicking all around, and she's tiny, so you could see every little movement of this baby. And I said, if you were in charge of making that baby, yeah, good luck. And then she still has to grow the rest of her body too. She'd forget to grow fingernails, hair, she'd forget to filter something in her kidneys. We can't consciously do this. So we've got the subconscious brain that does this. Everybody get that? We're not talking about psychology here. We're just talking about the subconscious brain, below the consciousness. And thank God it's below the consciousness, or else we wouldn't make it. Yeah? So, the brain and the body talk to each other via the subconscious system. And that's what we're trying to do with this One Thing Challenge, is get people focused on their bodies so they listen to their bodies. Because your body will tell you everything. Your body will tell you when you need more water. Your body will tell you when you need more sleep. Your body will tell you when you need to eat and what to eat if you just listen. But we are so focused on being here in the conscious brain. And I can say that when we start thinking, we go out of our bodies. We're not paying attention. We can sit and we can worry and we can get flustered and we can get upset, or we can just daydream. And we're definitely not in our bodies if we're daydreaming, right? We're somewhere else. So the subconscious brain brings us back into our bodies. And they talk to each other. We just need to figure out how to listen. Yeah? So, the way this works is we'll use the eyes, because your eyes, and this is an eye. Everybody get that? This is my great drawing here. The eyes are our greatest of our 5 senses. The eyes are our greatest. They are what take in the most information, and then the brain filters it. Okay, so how the conscious and subconscious brain work together to run the body is, let's say you see a snake. This is a true story. Let's say you see a snake. What happens? You're raking leaves, and you uncover some leaves, and there's a snake. What happens?
Fight or flight.
Yep.
Panic. What do?
Hit it with the rake.
There's the fight mode right there.
Yeah.
I jump out of the way. I jumped out of the way. But your sight goes back here into the occipital lobe of your brain, where vision is processed, and it tells the subconscious brain, ah, a snake, get out of there, yeah? Or fight it, fight or flight. This is that fight or flight mode that everybody knows about, everybody likes to talk about. And who here thinks they're stuck in fight or flight mode? Anybody? Stuck in it. Because I hear it all the time, stuck in fight or flight mode. Everybody knows about fight or flight mode. Because it's the stress mode. It's glamorous. Yeah? Because it's what's wrong. Well, let's talk about what's right. What happens when you, true story, discover that the snake that you uncovered is actually a rubber toy? True story. What happens? You laugh and you go, oh man. You go into what we call the parasympathetic or the healing mode. Laughter. Breathing. Your shoulders relax. So what happens over here when you're jumping out of the way or getting ready to fight? What happens to your muscles?
Tense.
They tense up. What happens to your breathing? Shortens. What happens to your digestion?
No.
You're not thinking about your digestion. You're trying to get away from the snake. Who cares about that taco or that brisket? Right? So, stops. In fact, everything here really is not working optimally. Actually, I'll go all the way down because, let's pretend I'm a man. We'll go all the way down because none of this is working. None of it's working the way it should because we're trying to get away from snakes, for God's sake. There's no time for any of this. No time. We gotta survive. So, we're stuck here. When we see the snake, then we learn that it's rubber. We breathe. Guess what? The blood that in the fight or flight mode, it's drained from here out to here because this is what's going to either help us fight or help us run, or tense up and help us freeze. Fight, flight, or freeze. When we laugh, we can just feel, we take that big deep breath in, and it's almost like we're sucking all the blood back into our body, right? Yeah, I mean, think about it. When the blood drains from someone's face, where's it going? It's going out here. So it's coming back. Whoa, I can take a deep breath, I can relax. Now, we have lots of snakes in our life, which, by the way, this rubber snake instantaneously scared me 5 times that day.
Your husband didn't keep cleaning it out there, did he?
No, I was being silly because I thought, I know it's a rubber snake, and then I was using a leaf blower, and the leaves kept blowing back on top of it, and then I would, and instantaneously go back into fight or flight mode. It was very humorous. It was really funny. But we've got lots of snakes in our life, right? Things that cause the same type of stress, the tight muscles. Maybe not but things that, why are my shoulders up on my ears? Anybody that did our month of breathing, where we do the breathing breaks, when the alarm would go off to tell you to breathe at 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 6 o'clock, maybe you went, oh my gosh, why am I so tense? I know I did. I was so happy for those breathing breaks. Because we get snaked out without even thinking about it. Because we've got some money snakes, we've got family snakes, relationship snakes, job snakes, traffic snakes. Yeah? My air conditioning's not working snakes. Something that happened today with one of our clients. My well ran dry snakes. Stress, stress, stress. Snakes, snakes, snakes. Our body gets stuck here. Now, why are we talking about this? We're here to talk about sleep. Because there are certain things that you do with your body that will also cause this. The brain, the subconscious brain affects the body, but the body also affects the subconscious brain. It's a two-way street. And so we can do things to either put us here or to put us here in this healing mode. Which, by the way, for the people who have been in my classes before, you know that I love to talk about this because I think this is the basis of a lot of problems people are having. How often are we supposed to be in this happy, healing, filtering, and cleansing mode? How much of the day? Anybody know?
How about all the time?
Yeah.
No. Okay.
This is not a bad guy. There's no bad and good here. There's no bad or good. We need this. We need the fight or flight mode. We need to have it. Yeah. I mean, this helps with lots of our body processes. We have to have it to survive. If you're walking down the street or let's say, okay, we'll go back to the snake. If you're uncovering leaves and you see a snake, you automatically do something. Without even thinking snake, you're doing something. You're either getting out of the way or hitting it with a rake. You're doing something. If you're walking down the street and you hear tires screeching behind you, you look, you're gone. before you even think about it, or you freeze. It's not a perfect system, but it's necessary. It's necessary. We have to have this. You can't be there 100% of the time. It's a good thing. It's not the bad guy. But in an ideal world, where we, actually in our world, because we're relatively safe, right? We don't have people trying to hunt us down. We don't have to hunt our food every day. We don't have to, that's not our job, right? We've got it pretty easy. So how often during the day should we be over here into this healing mode?
70%.
75%. We'll split your difference. About 75%. Yeah, that's pretty good. Who here who thinks that they're in this healing mode 75% of the time? Way to go, Alexander.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Come on in.
Hey,
Hi.
sorry.
Oh, you're fine. So we should be here in this healing, filtering, cleansing, immune system boosting. Everything's working mode 75% of the time. And over here about 25% of the time. So we need to be there. It's necessary. All right?
Especially if you're driving.
Especially if you're driving. Yeah. You know what? I'll give you a tip. I'll give you a tip before we leave about driving and getting here in this mode. Because like I said, the subconscious brain affects the body. We can use the body to affect the subconscious brain, which is what a lot of the things in the One Thing Challenge have been about, using the body, giving the body what it needs, which there are 6 areas that we do every day that affect this balance. Okay? Who can tell me those 6 things?
Eat, sleep, breathe, think, exercise.
Okay, I'll put move and think. Yeah. Is that 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6. 6 things. We call the 6 essentials for health. Now, any of these areas here will affect this balance. And thinking, you might be thinking, well, thinking is up in the brain. You're absolutely right, it is. So, we'll just kind of put a nice little special box around that one. Because that can be one of the more difficult, actually that probably is the most difficult thing on this list to get a grip on. The other stuff is pretty darn easy. And it's all about getting the body back into balance and giving it what it needs. So, real quick, with eating, what do we need to eat most of? Veggies, and some fruits. Should be like the majority of what we eat. And some meat if you like to eat meat, that kind of thing. And I got to tell you something, my diet is not perfect. I'm not perfect in any of these areas. No one is. This is a process. This is why we need to develop healthy habits to get us healthier as life goes on. Because with any of these things, we can take steps to move towards being healthier, or take steps to move towards being unhealthier. Right? So, let me tell you something about sleep. Because that's why we're here, right? And I was going to go down all of them, but we're going to bring all of them into sleep. Because sleep is a culmination of what's going on in your body, what's going on in your brain. Sleep is a very interesting thing. And if you talk to different psychologists, if you talk to different sleep scientists, they all have a different idea of what's going on. Just like how many days does it take to make a habit? Or how often are we in this parasympathetic mode, or should be there? Everybody has a different idea of what's going on. And so we're not going to go out there with what happens with sleep, and what happens with dreaming, what happens with the subconscious mind when we're sleeping. Because I don't know. And anybody that tells you that they do know is just taking a guess. So there's a lot of great theories out there, and I encourage you all to read about it and how it deals with the quantum world and sleep, lucid dreaming and things like that. It's wonderful stuff, but we're not going to really go into that this evening. We're going to kind of rein it in because we could be here for hours if we go out on too far of a tangent, correct? Yeah. So sleep is a culmination of all of these things. And like I said, it's necessary to have good sleep if you want the things in your life to go well. If you want to attract things. Because how many people here are in the Law of Attraction group? Pretty much everybody. So that's where we're going to really focus this on. Because like I said at the beginning, words are just words. Yeah, you can have a lot of great words. You can say all the right things. But what's the meat behind it? And what I want to pose to you is, what's your body doing? Yeah, you can talk about traction, you can talk about things coming to you and you're positive and how great everything is and how you're really working towards something and you can read all the right books. But what's your body doing? What's the state of your body? Are you taking care of it? Because it's just as important a piece in this puzzle as your mind. And I know a lot of people who just discount it. But your body will tell you everything you need to know if you listen and you take care of it. Everything. We just need to learn to listen. And sleep is a big part of it. Because when we're rested, we get the messages, right? We feel good. Things just tend to happen when we're well rested. All right? So, let's go very common sense, very practical for a few minutes and talk about some common reasons why people don't sleep well. Anybody have an idea?
Pain.
Pain?
Animals in the bed.
Animals in the bed?
Too many thoughts.
Too many thoughts? Yeah.
Stress of the day.
Stress? Yeah. Not processing things? Any other ideas?
Poor digestion.
Poor digestion.
Alcohol use.
Caffeine, alcohol use, these are all good things. Yeah. These are all, who doesn't like to have a couple glasses of wine before going to bed? I do. But I'll wake up in the middle of the night. I might go to sleep, but boy, guess what? It wears off, and then my blood sugar tanks, because that's what happens a few hours after having alcohol. Which brings us to our first big reason why people have trouble with sleep is blood sugar. And there's lots of reasons why you have problems with your blood sugar. Many things can be eating the wrong foods throughout the day. Usually it's not just one day that's the cause. It's a long-term effect of how you've been eating and how you've been looking at your diet for forever. And actually over here on the table I have something called a metabolic assessment form, and you're more than welcome to pick it up, fill it out, and call our office and just come in and sit down and chat with me for about 5-10 minutes. Okay? And because there's a lot of things that we can get from that form to let us know, based on you and your knowledge of your body, what's going on. And that can include changing things in your diet, changing what you eat, changing how you eat. Who here has heard breakfast is the most important meal of the day? You ever heard those words? No? Who wants to tell me what they eat for breakfast? Yeah.
Yogurt.
Yogurt. Okay.
That's it.
Yogurt. All right. Anybody else?
I eat oatmeal
Oatmeal.
nearly every day.
Okay. Anybody start off with a nice big bowl of cereal? Yeah? How about pancakes? Waffles? Oh, I'm getting hungry. What's the typical diet? What do people typically eat for breakfast? Yeah, cereal. Yeah, cereal, toast, bacon, eggs. No, bacon, and eggs not bad.
Cantaloupe.
What? Kale?
Cantaloupe.
Oh,
Bacon, eggs, and cantaloupe.
I like to eat kale for breakfast.
Okay.
So I thought you said kale. I was like, all right, come on over. Let's talk about the word breakfast. It is break fast. How long have you been not eating? About 8 hours. So we're going to talk here about blood sugar. Sugar in the blood is just energy in the blood. Yeah? So you have a break fast. You're breaking a fast of where your blood sugar has been low because you've been kind of in this hibernation mode, sleeping, Yeah.
How well does coffee help the?
We haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
We haven't gotten there yet. So you've been low blood sugar, nice, low. Then you get up and you go eat a nice big piece of toast. Sometimes even oatmeal. Just carbs that break down really quickly. Okay, what I said was carbs break down really quickly. So what happens to your blood sugar is what?
Spice.
Choo! Man, you are ready to go. I mean, anybody seen a kid that eats some sugary cereals? Do you want to be around that kid? Really? Grandparents even? No. They go crazy. Blood sugar goes up. Then what happens about 10 o'clock-ish? You crash. And you're so tired. Oh my gosh, I need a nap and it's 10 o'clock. Right? So maybe you drink a cup of coffee, maybe have your second cup of coffee, which pop, yeah,
No, I said a pot of coffee.
a pot,
Or pot.
a pot of coffee, or some people drink soda. That spikes the blood sugar again. So this is going on throughout the day. So you're going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. You're putting your body here, because that's what spikes in blood sugar do. That's what sugar does. Sugar actually activates this fight or flight system in the brain. So what should you do? So for breakfast, you want to eat something that breaks down slowly. Vegetables break down more slowly. Meat, eggs, and bacon, I like it. I don't eat them very often, but I love them. That's protein. That breaks down more slowly. It's better to eat eggs and bacon than it is to eat a big bowl of sugary cereal. Coffee, see, there's some really crazy stuff going on. Research that's showing that organic black coffee has got a lot of great benefits. And that the benefits override the caffeine, which caffeine is, it stimulates this. It's sympathomimetic. It mimics the sympathetic nervous system, or does this, creates this experience in your body. Now, when you add sugar to the coffee, yeah. So don't add sugar if you're going to have coffee. Also, if you're going to have coffee, don't just drink coffee. Eat something. Preferably something that's more a green leafy vegetable, which breaks down in the bloodstream slower.
Why not coffee by itself?
Because you're just creating this without any food, any sugar. So the coffee, what this does is this fight or flight nervous
Yeah, you
system.
said don't add sugar, so
No, hold on a second. The fight or flight nervous system
yeah.
tells the body, hey, we've got to run or fight. The body needs sugar to do any of its processes. So what it does is it brings sugar from the tissues, out of the tissues and into the blood. So it mobilizes sugar. It gets food from inside the body. So if you are from stores, if you are activating the fight or flight system, say with coffee, with caffeine, and not actually putting energy into the system in the way of food, then you're just drawing from your stores, which you've been fasting,
You can lose weight this way.
yeah, you can. I wouldn't recommend it
Mhm.
because it's not very healthy
Right.
in the long run, but yes, you can. I mean, do you know anybody that just drinks coffee in the morning?
Just
And then-
myself.
Just yourself? Well, you're a slim looking guy.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. But so you want to break the fast. You've been fasting for 8 hours. You want to
Right.
break the fast. So you want to put energy into the system, by way of food. Make sense? Yeah. So, are you going to die if you have a cup of coffee and you're not eating? No. But it's not going to help you sleep at night because what it does is it starts this up-down roller coaster
Mhm.
without actually putting any good, solid energy into the system. Does that make sense? Everybody get that? Yeah. So blood sugar is a huge part of that. When you eat something late at night, you might feel really tired. And then as it starts digesting, it actually, it's a stress. So it activates this system. Digestion causes this to happen a little bit in the body, which is really pretty funny. It'll wake you up. It's one of these eccentricities with our body that is pretty interesting. The digestion, which we like to have from here, actually causes this to happen. Just a little bit. So it wakes us up. And so we can't sleep because we ate 2 hours, an hour before we went to bed, or right before we went to bed. Another thing that can happen with blood sugar is dealing with the adrenal glands. Yeah? If you have trouble falling asleep at the end of the day, usually means that your adrenals are amped up. People talking about stress, being stressed at the end of the day, thoughts keeping you awake. When you are thinking about things that stress you out, does that make you feel stressed? Thinking about stressful things? Do you feel stressed? Can you lower your shoulders if you're thinking about stressful things? No, you can't. Yeah. When you think about stressful things, what you think about, you bring about in your body. So thinking about stressful things cause a stress response in the body. So you work yourself up. Your adrenals, the stress glands in your body, are overproducing these stress chemicals, these adrenalines, and cortisol, and you can't go to sleep. Same things happens when you wake up in the middle of the night. Except that is actually as a result of when your adrenals are tanked, when you've been so stressed throughout your life that your adrenals are just producing the stress chemicals, and they just get so tired. They can't keep up with the load. So we talked about how at breakfast you're breaking a fast of 8 hours, right? You still need sugar in your blood while you're sleeping because you still have tissues that are living, right? Yeah. So there's always this nice little stream of glucose, blood glucose, that's being brought into the blood. Yeah? You always have this little bit in there. And something called cortisol, anybody ever heard of cortisol? Does this. It's produced by the adrenal glands. And we have something called a cortisol rhythm, a cortisol pattern that happens throughout the day. And usually at night it goes down and then starts to ramp up when you're ready to wake up. But you always have to have some. You always have to have some cortisol. If you've been so stressed out your whole life, or most of your life, or for a long time, that your adrenals are too tired to make this cortisol, you still need sugar in your blood, right? And cortisol, everybody talks about cortisol being a stress chemical, and it is, but it's a really cool thing. It's like a low-grade stress chemical. It's just low grade, We're just a little stressed. Well, we need this blood sugar. We need sugar in our blood. But if our adrenals are so tanked that when we're sleeping, it just, it's done. Not producing any cortisol at night. But we still need the blood sugar. So our body is perfect. It's not going to let us die because we don't have any sugar in our blood. So it does the next best thing. It calls on another stress chemical that also puts sugar in the blood. And this is called epinephrine or norepinephrine, or the adrenalins. Now, everybody's heard of adrenaline, right? What happens with adrenaline?
Increases heart rate.
It does increase heart rate. What do you think of when you think of adrenaline?
She thinks like the monsters are after you or something like that.
Exactly. The monsters are after you. And so your body calls on those chemicals, the adrenalins, to put some blood sugar in the mix because you need it. But what else happens?
You wait.
You wake up. Exactly. You wake up, and oftentimes you wake up in a panic. Oh my gosh. And then you start thinking about all these things that are terrible. Anybody experience that? All these things that are wrong, all these things that can go wrong. How am I going to live? I'm going to live under a bridge. I hate that person. They're terrible. My sister is so bad. She made me so mad at my 3rd birthday party. Anybody experience these things? Waking up and you start thinking about all kinds of crazy stuff? Anybody else besides Daryl?
That's why I sleep on
Crazy
ECD
person here. Okay?
We'll get there. So, yeah, we think about all kinds of crazy stuff, and it's because adrenaline's brought into the mix. How do we work on this? How do we help to heal the adrenals so they can work? All of these things. Anybody who thought that you're going to come and learn a quick fix for sleeping, there's a couple of quick fixes. But I'm interested in the big picture about you getting completely healthy. And so this is a big part of it. You need to eat vegetables. You need to drink enough water. You need to breathe deeply. You need to move. Anybody sat on your tuchus all day and then tried to sleep a good sleep at night? Does that work?
No.
No. You need to move in order to be able to sleep at night. You need that activity. All these things are important. They're all important. We know how important thinking is because you can't go to sleep if you're thinking stinking, right? No. So, real quick, I'm going to give you some solutions, some easy solutions. Okay? I want you to think about the blood sugar. I want you to take one of those papers over there and fill it out. And if you're having issues, come in and see us. Just let us help you figure something out. Because there are easy fixes. They are easy. They take time and they take effort. And you might not find that so easy. But if you want to do it, it's easy. It's easy. It just takes changing your whole life. That's all. But the yes, but the benefits far, so much better than just sleep. Sleep is what I said. Sleep is a reflection of what's going on in your life. It's a reflection of what's going on in your body. And so we look at it that way. So, easy, quick fixes. All right, we'll do the quick and dirty. 1, turn off any kind of electronic devices at least a half an hour before you go to bed. Specifically, TVs, cell phones, tablets, computers. Before you go to bed. 30 minutes. And there's an easy reason why. And I'm looking at Cindy because she was like, I sleep with my TV on. It keeps the bad thoughts away.
I don't have bad thoughts, it just puts the brain, it numbs my brain so I can just go to sleep.
Do you wake
Comedy
up in the middle of the night?
No.
Well, then,
Only if the commercial is loud, then I turn the TV down a little lower.
do you feel rested when you wake up in the morning?
Not always.
Okay.
I know it's bad, I do know.
She's got all those infomercials going on in her mind.
Yeah,
I know.
subconscious.
Do you wake up with the urge to go buy things? To buy Snuggies and things like
Oh,
that?
no, not those.
Well, there's the reason why with the electronic devices, it's very, very simple. And you can look at any post of research on this. is that, especially with cell phones and tablets and computers, the refresh rate is just, I mean, it's mind-numbing. It turns off the chemicals that allow you to go to sleep. I mean, it excites the brain. TV, I think that's a little bit different, but same concept.
Subliminal messages all over the place there.
Exactly. And what do a lot of people watch late at night?
Horror movies?
Well, if you turn on if you turn on any of the networks, there's just crime shows. Crime shows are the news. On right before people are going to bed. CSI, NCIS, the Sherlock Holmes show, which I really like. All those things are on right before people go to bed, and it just amps them up. Right? You can't watch those shows and just, oh, I'm just so happy and peaceful. I mean, people are getting murdered or raped or fires. You can't, I mean, the whole point of those shows is to get you emotionally engaged, is to get you here, is to get you on the edge of your seat. The same thing with the news. If the news was happy, no one would watch it. They're wanting to see what is wrong. 2 weeks ago, maybe it was just last weekend, the news was on, and the weather guy brought out temperatures in the first week of August and compared them to the temperatures in the first week of August for the past 10 years to tell us what kind of winter we were going to have. And I looked at these numbers, and there was no pattern. But what he said at the end was, average temperature here, it's the same as this year. We had this really bad snow. Are we going to have a bad winter this year? Maybe. Remember those bad ice storms? Fear.
So who's gonna sleep tonight?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'd better get some snow shovels and some ice and make sure I have enough firewood. And oh my God, remember the 3 weeks of ice storms? It's putting you here. That's what happens with the news, right? We are put here. So turn it off. Half hour before you go to bed. If you want to go to sleep, turn the TV off. Don't drink alcohol. Don't drink it. If you want to sleep well, don't drink alcohol.
Ever?
Until you get rested. Maybe 1 glass, maybe 2. You got to figure out what works with your blood sugar.
We'll have to have it for breakfast.
You're going to have it for breakfast.
Amen.
Yeah.
With eggs.
That's what
Wine
brunch
and
is
eggs.
for.
That's what brunch is.
It's
But
crazy.
seriously, if you're having trouble sleeping, and that's the last thing we want to do. We're tired. We want a glass of wine. We want a beer. We want a scotch. And then one. And then maybe we stop at one, but maybe, oh man, it's been a really rough day and I'm really enjoying this. I'll have another one. And before it's like 2, 3, and your blood sugar's going crazy. And you can fall asleep really. But then, 4 hours later, 3, 4 o'clock, you wake up. So, turn off the TV, shut down the booze. I know, I'm boring. I'm very boring. I'm going to start a blog called the Buzzkill blog and say, if you don't want to change your diet, don't read this. Because I'm not going to make any friends with it. So the other thing is, don't eat a big meal before you go to bed. You know, let yourself have 3 hours to digest. That's a good rule of thumb for most people. Drink water. Make sure you're drinking some water. Anybody who has problems getting up in the middle of the night to have to go to the bathroom? Okay. There's some other things that might be at play there that also have to do with an imbalance in the adrenals. And something called aldosterone, which is produced in the adrenals, versus another chemical. I think it's called atrial natriuretic peptide. That lets, that's the P chemical, and aldosterone that's produced in the adrenals is the hold-up chemical. So if your adrenals are exhausted, you might have an imbalance in those chemicals, and so you're peeing all the time. So again, to boost your adrenals, You got to look at all these things. It's a long-term process.
Does that happen in a child then, that maybe wets the bed?
If there's,
Later, I mean, after they're 3 or whatever.
well, we can get really deep into that because if there's a child that's wetting the bed, then there's a lot of stress that goes on with that that can create adrenal stress later on in life because you're setting up a whole host of things there. I mean, that's a big talk. If there's a child that's wetting the bed, have the parents come in to talk to us because there are some things that we can do to help with that.
Sorry.
Hypnotherapy.
That's okay. Hmm?
I said hypnotherapy.
Hypnotherapy can work as well. Hypnotherapy can work well as well because you're dealing with the subconscious brain and how the body is processing chemicals and how the body is processing stress. So, sorry, come on in. Got a little bit lost there. Like, yeah, let's go in. Okay, so that might be something that's going on as well. And when you balance out the adrenals, then it will help to correct that imbalance and help you go through the rest of the night without tinkling all the time. Okay? So what have we talked about? We talked about booze, we talked about food, we talked about TV. How about something really fun like dark rooms? Make your room as dark as it can. Put on curtains that block out the light. Because those annoying little lights, or annoying street lights, or annoying car lights, will keep you up at night. Or the moon, they will.
Or the frogs.
That's not a light.
Yeah, but the frogs can keep you up.
We haven't gotten to the frogs yet. We're talking about lights here.
Oh, lights. Okay.
Lights, yes. But speaking of frogs, something you might want to do is, we have a fan going in our room that just creates a nice buzz. Now, some people like something called binaural beats. It's a frequency, a sound. Anybody ever tried that? You tried it? Does it work for you?
I don't know, I sleep so deep anyway.
You do? Well, then why are you here at a sleep class?
Because I don't sleep enough.
You don't sleep enough. Oh, okay. Well, the binaural beats, they are just a beat frequency, just at different speeds and at different sounds. And people have made these CDs where you can listen to waterfalls, and then this frequency is behind the waterfall. You can go on YouTube and just find tons of these things. And some of them last for 8 hours. They'll say, fall asleep fast, listen to me. Put in headphones. It's usually, is it the stereophonic, where there's like 2 different ears. That doesn't work for me to sleep because I don't want to have things in my ears. Yeah? But if I put it on just my phone and I listen to it, some of them help. Some of them drive me crazy and they hurt right here. Every person is different. You've got to find something for yourself. So I can't really recommend anything specific. Just have a listen to them. And with you sleeping so deeply, because it's a frequency, if you find something that I would still try. You might find something that helps you sleep longer. So are you sleeping, do you have to sleep a short time, or do you just wake up?
No, I just don't go to sleep on time. I stay too late.
Stay up too late.
Yeah.
Is it by choice?
Yeah.
Well, then you're easy. Just go to sleep. Go to bed.
Go to bed.
Turn off the TV. Shut the book. Go to bed. There are people here who would kill for your problems. But that's true. People, they don't want to go to sleep. Anybody ever tried to put my son to sleep other than me? Because it's pretty darn hard. He doesn't want to miss anything. So it's a choice. I remember my aunt told me, Katie, you can sleep when you're dead. So don't ever use sleep as an excuse. Well, I also know that, and this can go for sleep at night and also sleep during the day, taking a nap. A good leader always knows when it's time to rest. And always knows when to stop, whether you're at work, whether you're with family, it's time to rest. Everything's going to be better if I get some rest. So just remember that. A good leader always knows when it's time to rest. Because don't we tend to push ourselves and think, I'll just put it off. Oh, I'll just keep going, keep going, keep going. A good leader always knows when it's time to rest. And a worker works right through it. A good leader always knows when it's time to rest. A good leader always listens to their body to let them know what they need to do. If we want to attract people, places, and things, and money, and whatever it is that's on our dream boards to our lives, we need to be a leader in our own life. We need to take charge of our life. We need to do these things. We need to decide, I need to go to sleep now. I'm going to feel a lot better in the morning if I do. It's just a choice. I need to eat differently because I know I'll sleep better tonight. I need to have 1 glass of wine with dinner because I know I'll sleep better tonight. I need to turn off the TV. Even though I really want to see that show, it'll be on Netflix in 2 months. I can watch it during the day when it's raining sometime. And I don't want to read Dale Carnegie books. It's a choice. And it's a tough choice. Right up until it isn't. And the thing about sleep, there's another Dale Carnegie book called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. Anybody ever read that book? If you haven't, read it. It's great. Guess what? He's got a chapter in there about sleep and people worrying about sleep. And what he said is, and I'm paraphrasing, you're probably getting a lot more sleep than you thought. So stop worrying about it. Because the more you worry about it, the less you're going to get. It's a pretty darn good idea. And I remember I was having this conversation with Dr. Ted, and we were going through a stressful period in our lives and not getting good sleep. Because when you're stressed, you're amped up. When you're amped up, it's hard to fall asleep. And then you fall asleep, but then you got blood sugar craziness going on because you're probably not eating well because you're stressed and you're stress eating and you're trying to make yourself feel better with a bunch of crap, but that's causing your blood sugar to go crazy, so having a hard time falling asleep, but then you do go to sleep, but then you're up again, so you're not getting good sleep when you stress. Right? Anybody ever feel this way? Anybody ever do this? Yeah. This roller coaster, you put yourself on it. I do too. We were going through this tough period, stressful period. And he woke up one morning, and we were always waking up going, God, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I just want to go back to sleep. And he made the decision. And this is our saying. I'm tired, but I'm happy. I am tired, but I'm happy. And the more you say it, the better it feels. I am tired and I'm happy. Because it's a decision when you wake up. It is a decision when you wake up. I'm tired and I'm happy. Because you know what? Yes, you're tired. Yes, you might feel not the greatest today in your body, but I'm going to be happy. I'm choosing to be happy. And that being happy creates in your body this. At least a heck of a lot more than being angry, right? And being grouchy. And guess what happens when you wake up and you're tired and you're happy? The people around you who are used to you getting up tired and grumpy, they're going to be happy. And if they're happy, you're going to be happier. And then you're going to go to work, and guess what? Traffic is not going to be nearly so bad. And you're going to get to work after you eat a really good breakfast, maybe some vegetable juice or an egg. And you're gonna get to work, and guess what? Work's not so bad. And then you're gonna feel good, and then when lunchtime comes, you're like, you know what? I'm still kind of tired, but I'm feeling good, and I think I'm gonna have a salad. You set your day up. You start doing things differently. You start attracting things differently because you're different. And it is all a choice that you make. I'm tired, but I'm happy. And then guess what? When you go to sleep that night, maybe you don't get a perfect night's sleep. But you wake up again the next day, and you're like, you know what? I'm still tired, but I'm happy. And it starts to get easier to be tired and happy. Until guess what? A few months down the road, when
So
you've been
happy you
tired
sleep.
and happy, you're so happy you sleep. You start to trick yourself into being healthy. You trick yourself into being healthy because you're telling yourself you're happy, even though you're tired. You do things that make you feel good. Here's the big thing, the big take home I want you to take home, which is why it's called a take home, is that we get stressed out and we make choices. We make choices that aren't the best for us a lot of times. I'm guilty of this. Hamburger, French fries, yeah, it's been a rough day. Let's just do it. I love it. I love cheeseburgers. And I love French fries. They're good. And when you've had a bad day, and when you've had a bad week, and when you've had a bad month, guess what? Those cheeseburgers and that pizza and that beer and that just adds up. And we're not going to talk about weight gain here, because that's secondary. What's happening to you energetically? What's happening to all of this stuff? You're making choices that's leading you towards feeling not so great, to not being able to sleep. Yeah.
Can we talk about sleep medication and the cycle of that?
No, because I don't know anything about it.
About what?
Sleep medication.
Oh.
Drugs aren't my bag. So I don't know anything about them. So no, I can't talk to you about them. I say, don't do them.
Say no to drugs.
Just say no to drugs. From what I do know, that most of them don't allow you to get the REM sleep that you need. So people wake up not feeling so refreshed. So you just kind of get knocked out. But I don't know for sure. So don't quote me on that. Do your own research on that. But here's something else that I want you to think about. If you wake up, and if you, in the middle of the night, I want you to see it as an opportunity. Or having trouble going to sleep. See it as an ability to have a quiet time by yourself to focus on what you want. To focus on forgiveness. If someone is coming into your head and you're really telling them off, use that as an opportunity to forgive them, to forgive yourself. Maybe they're telling you off. Do some deep breathing exercises. Focus on what you want. Focus on what makes you feel good. Because what do people typically do when they wake up in the middle of the night? Do they focus on what makes them feel good? Or do they worry? Do they get stressed? Or do they get angry? Use it as a time for meditation and reflection. Let's step out of our bodies and step out of blood sugar. Let's step out of adrenals and look at it as an opportunity. We're awake in the middle of the night. No one else is there. You don't have to get out of bed. And just use it as a time to focus. Doesn't that make it seem a little bit different? Doesn't that make it seem like a little bit of a blessing? Think of it that way, and it will be.
Can I add something from my field about the muscles?
Sure.
Baby.
I don't want to I'm a sport therapist, you know, for 13 years. So when we fall asleep and our muscles are still tight, they spasm as we're falling asleep. So it takes our ability to the body to relax, to go into REM state. And so,
Can I stop you right there?
yeah,
Because I want to tell you something. When you lay down, there's a reflex in the brain that's supposed to cause all of your muscles to relax. If they're not relaxing, then there's something else going on subconsciously that's causing this.
right. Well, I was taught something that we can do right before we lay down, the same as dogs and cats, is stretch.
That's a great thing to do. Stretch before you go to sleep. Breathe before you go to sleep. Stretching, extending your muscles. This was last month's One Thing Challenge. Extension puts you here. See, all of these habits that we're developing over 18, 21, 27, 58 days, they all work together to put us here. You don't just do one. You don't just sleep. You do one of these things, and a lot of people focus here, right? Positive thinking. I'm a positive thinker.
That'll keep you awake too.
That'll keep you awake.
Too.
Because I guarantee you, those people that are such positive thinkers, their body's telling them something else. They're eating like crap. They look like crap. They shallow breathers. They don't care about their blood pressure. I don't care about my body. I don't care about my heart. I'm just in my head. I'm so spiritual. I'm just all here. I'm never in my body. No kidding. Look at yourself. All of these are important. They're all equally important. They all feed into each other. You have to look at them all. You have to look at them as a whole in order to be healthy. You have to look at them as a whole in order to get what you want. So yes, stretching is very important. And when you stretch, that causes your body to take in a nice big deep breath because it's activating this. So with your permission, I want to teach you a breathing exercise really quickly that you can do that will help. We might see some yawning going on after this, but it'll help to create this in your body so that you can sleep if you're having trouble. Yeah?
This is physical and psychological about sleeping. If you pay attention to where you sleep and you treat it like a sacred space and pay attention down to the little things like the thread count on your sheets, seems insignificant. But if you know that you have taken that detail and raised the quality of your sleeping environment, psychologically it's conducive to allowing you to have a better thought about your sleeping. A comforter, down pillows because they're fluffy, they're soft, they're kind. So if you treat your sleeping space with some degree of sacredness, and so that you create a psychological situation where you're going there because you know it's going to comfort you. Your sheet count, your thread count's a little higher, your quilts are a little nicer. So that creates a psychological chamber where you wrap this around you.
Right.
And that will allow you to have a deeper sleep because the creature comforts.
That's true. And also, if you look at your bedroom as sacred, and you look at your bed as sacred, and so you don't bring your work into your bed,
Right.
and you just use it for sleep, then it's a place for sleep. So our bodies and our brains get patterned. And so you want to be comfortable as well, what you were saying.
Right.
Make it a sacred space. And you'll find some better sleep. But so what I want to do is teach you a breathing technique. And everybody talks about belly breathing. Anybody have trouble belly breathing? I always find it kind of difficult. Because I'm like, okay, how do I push my belly out? So, and I can fake it really, really well. And make it seem really easy when I tell people to do it. because I didn't know any other way to do it until I went to see a Qigong master down in Hot Springs, who incidentally is going to be up here at the end of September. So what she was talking about was bringing the breath down to activate the Dantian, which is down about here. So as I was playing with this, I invented something called, what's this thing called in
Sign of the cross.
Sign of the cross, or is there a one-word term for it? I don't know. Okay, so, all right, so it's this breathing, or it's this way, isn't it? I'm not Catholic, so I apologize. But what we do is we bring the breath all the way down, and then it's phase 1. And phase 2 is we expand the chest, okay, to really inundate our body with oxygen, because when we do that, when we breathe deeply, we activate this. When we do all of these things the way they're supposed to be done, we activate this, okay? And lots of people have their own way of breathing, and if you have a different way of breathing, by all means go for it. But so what I want you to do is, everybody sit up nice and tall. And remember, we're going to breathe all the way down, and the belly will just come right out. You're skipping the belly. You're breathing down into your pelvic bowl, okay? So breathe all the way down. See, the belly just kind of comes out, and then expand the chest, stage 2. And then just, okay, let's try it again. Deep breathe in. And then phase 2. Try it again. One more time. Anybody have any trouble with that?
So are you saying that you can bypass the lungs then when you breathe?
No, you're not.
Okay,
You're breathing into the lungs.
okay.
But what people do is they think about belly breathing. They breathe the breath down here in the bottom part of the lungs, which is great, but they miss the upper part of the lungs. We need air in the entire lungs. We need to activate the entire lungs. All right, it's working already. I'm seeing some yawns. But did anybody find that easy? Kind of easy. Yeah. I find it easier than belly breathing because you're just bringing it down. You're not trying to poke out the belly. That's not the goal, even though it happens. But when you expand the lungs, think about when we take a big yawn in. That's what we do, right? So we're simulating a yawn with that second part of the breath. Yes! Yes! I see all kinds of people like trying to have their yawns.
Yawning doesn't necessarily mean you're sleepy. Yawning is ascending or descending, because what you're doing is you're oxygenating the body. So yawning doesn't necessarily mean you're sleepy.
Well,
Because
you're absolutely right.
ascending
But I'm
or-
looking at these
or-
people
or
right here and looking at their eyes, and it's telling me they're sleepy.
Well, they might have just woken up, though. You see, they're waking up to the information.
Maybe that's a good way to put it. But we do tend to yawn when we're tired, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
But it's just oxygenating the body.
it is oxygenating
It's
the
a
body.
judgment call on
And
whether
you know
it's
what?
ascending or
That
descending.
oxygenating the body is putting us here. We need oxygen.
Right.
So it's helping to put us here to
Right.
prepare us for sleep.
Right.
Not every single time, but when we're tired, that's what's going on. We've got to be here to go to sleep. It's really hard to go to sleep over here. Sometimes we just pass out because we're just exhausted. So get yourself here. Any questions? There was a lot of information this evening, and so I wanted to give you really practical things to use, but I also wanted you to see the bigger picture, because it's not just about sleep. It's about your body as a whole. And when you listen to your body, like we said, things just work better. You're happier, you're healthier, things come to you easier when you listen to your body. And sleep makes that a heck of a lot easier. So, if there's no questions, thank you.